Greetings, fellow puckheads, and welcome back to Clear the Ice here on the Edge of Philly Sports with your boy, Matty B. And yeah, 5-2 Flyers fall tonight to the Buffalo Sabres down there at the Wells Fargo Center in a game that saw pretty much the same thing that we've been saying, right? And saying the kind of a game that's pretty much indicative of what the Philadelphia Flyers are. Some of that October magic seems to be wearing off as we flip the calendar, as say, into November. And we got a lot to unpack in this game. We'll get to it here in a second. But before I do that, let me remind you all that this show and every other show here on the Edge of Philly Sports is brought to you by the fine folks over here at Dolan's, 24 East Sellers Avenue in Ridley Park. For Quizzo music, great times, memorabilia giveaways, and you never know who may walk through the front door. Give PJ and the gang a shout out down there. And tell them, Matty B, the Clear the Ice, Edge of Philly Sports, and God sent you. And they will take great care of you. But let's head on over to the Wells Fargo Center now as the Flyers coming off of a game on where they played Saturday and they got their butts handed to them. And they played again on, Monday? And they played pretty well against a very, very good Carolina Hurricane team. And they were maybe trying to kind of take some of this, as they kind of take some of that against the team in the Buffalo Sabres that might be a little bit ahead of them in their development. And there's, they got a home and home here going on with the Sabres. And tonight was the first game they'll play in Buffalo on Friday. And looking to try to kind of turn things around against the, get back on that win column and try to get things started off in November right. Daniel says, yo, what's up, man? Listen, where do I start? So we can get into right off the bat. The Flyers, they've been getting off some notoriously bad slow starts. Today, that wasn't really the case. As the Flyers would get up on the board first, less than a minute into the game, as Joel Farabee would finish off a pretty nice little play down the little odd man break, little 2-on-1 action. Flyers up 1-0, and then Casey Middlestat would tie things up at 1-1. On a goal that Zamula, the young defenseman, was really kind of out of position. You're going to get games. I don't know how long I'm going to be able to kind of ride this. You're going to get these types of games from these young players, truck, so to speak. But there's no other really way to explain the goal from Zamula, or Middlestat's goal, that Zamula was just kind of sucked down and was looking everywhere but where he should have been looking at, and that was his responsibility, the player that was behind him, or in front of him, actually, in this case. And he kind of walks right up and scores the goal. And, of course, Carter Hart at this point in the game goes down with a mid-body injury, where that's what they're calling it down there at the center, mid-body injury. The much-maligned Sam Ersson then would come in the net, and he really did not prove to be much effective at all, as he continues his vibe from the other night where the Anaheim Ducks shot holes in him, contrary to what I think the head coach is saying. Yeah, was it a bad game all over against the Ducks? Yeah, but there were some goals, at least 3 of them that I counted. I was there, that Ersson probably gave up because of just bad goaltending. And tonight, you hold the Buffalo Sabres, and this is what one of the most odd stats of this game for me is. And 15 shots is what the Flyers held the Sabres to tonight. 15 shots. That's what the Sabres recorded all game long. 15. But yet they scored 5 goals. So there's some goaltending issues there. And Sam Ersson really did not fare well tonight at all. I think he only faced 9 and gave up like 4 goals or something like that. And that's really bad. You might say that a lot of these goals were on the defense in front of him. I disagree. I think a lot of these goals that the Sabres scored off of Ersson specifically were just bad goaltending. He had a lot of open looks. Listen, I get what the situation might be in terms of you want to lock it all down in front of the goalie, but that's not going to happen at the NHL level. But the goalie is an actual player that is literally the last line of defense. I mean, he's the guy that's supposed to be the one, to stop. He's not there for an emergency purpose. Everyone seems to think, oh no, they got a shot on the goalie, it's bad. No, that's part of the game. The goalie is part of the defense. He's got to be there. He's got to be that last line. And I get it on some of those plays where he's kind of, pulled all the way out of position and whatnot. Yeah, I understand that. And yes, there are many defensive breakdowns, and there were many defensive breakdowns in this game as well. But at the end of the day, Sam Ersson and whoever's goaltending, either Ersson or Carter Hart, they got to make some of these saves. He had clean looks, no screens in front of him. player in the slot, I get it. It's not the best place you want to try to stop a puck, but it's a clean look. You got to make these saves. And Sam Ersson ain't making them. He hasn't made them for the last 2 games now. And once again, I'm going to ride on the old, with the truck of, listen, with young players, you got to expect this kind of play. I get that. But at what point do we just kind of chalk it up that he's just not a good goalie? Now, last season, he was fantastic, right? But I don't know, man. You look at some of the goals. Again, 15 shots were allowed by the Flyers, but yet the Sabres scored 5 goals. Do the math. It's not pretty good. So getting back to the box score and getting back to this game, it was then 1-1, and then Brandon Brio would make it 2-1 with about the 10-minute mark of the first period. Again, this was one of those open looks. He was standing right in front of Ersson. I understand it's not the best place to be. Where's the defense? But the goalie is part of the defense, and he's got to make some of these saves. Cam Atkinson, though, would get things even at the end of the first period, making it 2-2. And that's where you would stand going into the first intermission. No goals were scored in the second period as both goalies stood on their head. I'll get to the Flyers' shots on this night because it's really astounding. But in the third period, it kind of came apart for the Flyers. Owen Power, his first goal at 3:03 to make it 3-2. Again, that's an Ersson goal. It's an Ersson goal. There was a defensive breakdown somewhat, but it was an open look from the slot. Or from the hash mark. He's got to make that save. Then Tage Thompson makes it 4-2, and then by that point, obviously, it's all she wrote as Brandon Brio would add the empty netter at 16:52, and there you got 5-2 Buffalo. Flyers now fall to 4-5-1 on the season through 10 games, 9 points. Heading over to some of the other team stats, I already mentioned the 15 shots by the Sabres. The Flyers 40 shots on this night. 40 shots. That's right, folks. You heard it here. 40 shots. That's a big old 4-0. 40 shots, and they scored 2 goals. Tortorella said it the other night during the Carolina postgame. They got to start scoring. They got to start finishing these things. How do you outshoot a team 40-15 and only score 2 goals and lose 5-2? That's embarrassing, and that's lack of skill, that's lack of playmaking, that's lack of talent. There's no other way to kind of assess that. The Flyers were not outplayed in this game. They hung there. They skated actually pretty good, and they were actually stronger in a lot of aspects of this game. They registered 40 shots. Did I mention 40 shots? And they only managed 2 goals. Something's got to give here, man. We got to start getting goals in the net. And again, riding on the truck, man. This is just the things that are going to happen when you're dealing with this type of young team. It's frustrating, folks. I get it. You watch a game where the Flyers peppered the Sabres all night long and were only credited with 2 goals. We're on the other side. We watched the Sabres register a putrid 15 shots, and they potted 5 goals or 4 goals. If you don't want to count the empty netter, that's fine. But it's uber frustrating. The Flyers got to find a way to put the damn puck in the net. It is simple as that. I can't break it down any basically than that. So it's frustrating. Pat, what is up, man? Matt, after 3 minutes of the game, geez, Pat, man, good God, dude. No, it was not. It was not over. Listen, come on, man. Sam the Stiff Ersson. Pat, you were about ready to anoint Sam Ersson the starting goalie last year. Come on. Listen, he's not played well. I'll be the first to admit that. Is there a goaltending change? Does he need to get on up on the blue route and head on up to Allentown? Yeah, maybe. But listen, you got to get this kid kind of figure it out. And but you're right. Listen, a lot of the stuff tonight was really just on a bad goaltending. It was bad goaltending tonight. I'm going to chalk this thing up to bad goaltending and lack of offensive finishing by the Flyers. And that's why they lost 5-2, pure and simple. Sam gives us his freshman year. He looked good with a small sample size. However, the sophomore slump is here with him. I don't know. We'll see. Long season ago. But there you got Flyers now 4-5-1. They lose tonight 5-2. Going over some of the other numbers on the night, Flyers were again blanked on the power play 0 for 3. That's another aspect of their game that is entered into the negligent area. But I'm not calling for the firing of the special teams coach or the power play coach. I'm not. I said this before, and I'll ride this truck all the way. You need talent on the power play. You straight up need talent. You need players that are scorers. You need talent. You need high-end talent on the power play. The Flyers do not have that. These are the numbers you're going to see night in and night out until they get some goal scorers. It is just the way it is. That's how the power play is designed. That's what I think why you have superstar players in this league in the first place, because that's the bread and butter is on the power play. And right now the Flyers don't have that, and they don't have a good power play at all. The other numbers on the night, the Flyers took the puck away 11 times and they gave it away 7. And that kind of finishes out your numbers. To take a look on the season numbers right now for your Philadelphia Flyers, they have scored 32 goals in 10 games, averages about 3.2 a game. They've given up 33 goals, and that's about 3.3 a game. Their shots for, this is an astounding stat. The Flyers have registered 333 shots through 10 games. That's 33.3 shots a game. They've given up 268. So 26.8 shots a game is what other teams are averaging. Let's round it up. So the Flyers have registered 33 shots a game. Their opponents have registered 27, and the Flyers are being outscored. And kind of it breaks it down. The Flyers are being outscored by 1 goal. It kind of balances out. But right now, the Flyers, it's not because of a lack of shots. It's not because of a lack of offense. It's a lack of finishing. And that is really the bottom line with this team right now, which is so mind-numbingly frustrating, is they just cannot finish. They've taken the puck away 61 times for 6 a game, and they've given it up 64 times for about 6.5 a game on the power play so far this season. The Flyers are 4 for 35 for a putrid 11.4% on the season. For the last, I keep this number going because I kind of want to see, I'm waiting for the day that tilts. Since the 2021-22 season, the Flyers have gone 67 for 489 on the power play. That's 13.7%. And once again, pretty putrid when it comes to effectiveness on the power play. And there you have 5-2. Flyers go down in flames. This is the same guy who said he doesn't know why the Niners signed Chase Young. Guys, goofy. Well, I ain't going to go that far. Pat is passionate. Pat knows what he's doing. Pat has his heart there on his sleeve. He's not a goofy MF. He's not. He's my brother, so don't talk about him like that. I don't appreciate that. Everyone's entitled to their opinion, and Pat's opinion will be honored. This is his show, by the way. He's on this show, so he's going to be able to speak what he wants, and I will definitely allow that, just like I will allow you to as well. So no need for that on this platform, all right? So let's take a look at the rest of the National Hockey League right now, happening on this Wednesday evening on the 1st of November. And that's another bad sign for the Flyers, because now we've entered November, and we all know that the team just can't get out of its own way in November. But it is what it is. So let's go to the scoreboard as we have some games that are currently ongoing. At the end of the second is 4-2 Dallas over Calgary. With about 5 minutes to go in the first, it is 2-0 over 2-0 2-0 the Avs over the Blues. And at the about the 13-minute mark of the first period, Ducks are up 1-0 over the Coyotes, and that is it. That is all your game action in the NFL or NHL on this Wednesday evening. 5-2, lack of finishing, and just bad goaltending. And then obviously now you factor in the mid-body injury of Carter Hart. Where does that take the Flyers forward? Flyers will be back at it Friday night in Buffalo against the Sabres, as they will complete the home and home before returning home on Saturday to play the Kings. And then venture out on a West Coast trip. That's right, one of them old-fashioned West Coast trips, baby. San Jose, Anaheim, and LA next week. So people will be earning their money on Clear the Ice next week, working them 2 o'clock in the morning shifts. Man, you gotta love it, baby. You gotta love it. But yeah, 5-2 Flyers losers tonight. Some looking around, kind of some other aspects of this. The Flyers, I'm keeping track of a couple players that are touted heading into this year's NHL draft as kind of the top 3, and especially when with the Flyers needs this season, or with the Flyers needs on this team, there's 3 players that I'm going to be keeping an eye on throughout the season. They factor into maybe going pretty high. in this year's draft. The first player is Macklin Celebrini. He's a center right now out of Boston University. He has played 6 games so far for Boston U this year, 8 goals, 3 assists for 11 points, 2 penalty minutes, and he's got a +5. Cole Eiserman. He's a left wing who plays for the NTDP and the U.S. national team. The NTDP resides, or the National Team Development Program team, is in the USHL. And then, of course, he plays for the U.S. national team. So you'll be seeing him and Macklin Celebrini and the other guy, Sam Dickinson. You'll be seeing them next month, actually, when they go up to their the World Junior Championships. I believe it's in Sweden this year. It's played right over Christmas. You'll be seeing all 3 of these kids in action. But Cole Eiserman's a left wing. He's played 18 games between those 2 teams this year. 27 goals, 8 assists, 35 points, no penalty minutes, and a gaudy +26 for his season so far. And Sam Dickinson, a left-handed defenseman who currently plays for the London Knights of the Ontario Hockey League. 12 games played, 3 goals, 7 assists, 10 points, 4 penalty minutes, and he's a +9 on the plus-minus side. Those are 3 of the players that I am going to be keeping an eye on throughout the season as we get closer to the draft, because Sam Dickinson especially may fit the Flyers' needs next summer. Eiserman and Celebrini will possibly be the consensus number 1, and Cole Eiserman will probably go right behind him at 2. But Dickinson, a left-handed defenseman, should be available around the time the Flyers will pick. If it's in that top 10 area. So keep an eye on those guys. Like I kept an eye on Connor Bednar last year. And looking down on the farm for the Flyers, their AHL affiliate, the Lehigh Valley Phantoms, they are 3-4 so far on the season for 6 points. They are currently in 6th place in the Atlantic Division in the Eastern Conference of the AHL. And the Reading Royals, the Philadelphia Flyer East Coast Hockey League affiliate, 1-2-1-1 for 4 points. They are 5th place in the North Division in the Eastern Conference of the ECHL. And there's your look down on the Flyer farm tonight, where everybody stands. Flyers 5-2 losers. They go down in magnanimous defeat to the Buffalo Sabres tonight. But remember, if you want to travel like the pros, look no further than PhillySportsTrips.com for all your Flyers, Sixers, Phillies, Union needs. Head over to PhillySportsTrips.com and check out all they have to offer, as well as Sherry's tickets. If you want to get the best tickets, the best prices with no hidden fees for sports, concert, and theater tickets, it is Sherry Tickets Town at www.sherrystickets.com. Family owned and operated since 1946. Save an additional 10% when you enter the promo code EOP10. And if you have any workman's compensation, motor vehicle accidents, personal injury, or criminal law, Dave Cherry is the man to call, 610-565-0300, and he will take the greatest care that he can of you. And folks, that is going to wrap me up here on the Clear the Ice show. Flyers lose 5-2, now 4-5-1 on the season. 9 points so far if you're keeping track at home like I am. The next time we will talk to you will be on Friday night, as we will come at you after the Sabres game, and then on Saturday night after the Kings game. Until we speak again, everybody out there, in the immortal words of Mr. Gene Hart, good night and very good hockey.